There you go.
Speed it up a little bit. The pros will do it at 1.5, and I'm like, I can't do it.
So it's hard to picture, but make it work.
Make it work.
No, with the bow, gonna wear short, yeah.
1.5 is hard.
Yeah.
Would be like.
Yeah, I couldn't do it too.
Oh, we're using that guy. Okay. At least we got a box now. So we're good. Okay. It is 7:02. I'll go ahead and call to order the August 16th. How did that happen? 2023 Board of Education regular meeting to order. If you would take a moment to silence your cell phones or pledge and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Giovanna, would you please call roll?
Monica Johnson,
Here.
Amanda Proctor. Here. Kate Pisano.
Here.
Jeremy Scott.
Here.
Michael Witt.
Here. We do need to move the agenda for this evening's meeting.
Move we approve as presented.
I'll second.
A motion by Reverend Scott, a second by Director Johnson to approve the agenda as presented. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We do not have anything on agenda items. Okay. We will move to staff and student celebrations and recognitions. Not a whole lot going on this week.
Well, President Wales and board members, it's always an exciting week, right? As you start thinking about celebrate, we've got students back in our buildings. And in this district, we opened 2 essentially brand new buildings, right? And so to see Mill Elementary open and be in that building, as we walked through last week, there was still work to do. I was there late Friday, and then I was there again on Sunday. And it was incredible to see the work that happened to make sure that we were ready to open that building Monday. So as we think about all 5 buildings opening, I've been around education almost 30 years. And the openings in this district were very smooth. Obviously, there's kinks to work out, right? Almost every single year, there's a figure traffic out. Now with new traffic patterns, right? So we'll have to work through that. That's certainly one of those things we'll have to pay attention to. Just new buildings in general, you've got to pay attention to. So that's something we'll continue to work on. I just want to let the board know that from my perspective, I think Assistant Superintendent Kramer would say the same. That our openings were smooth. You talk to the principal, they'll tell you the same things. If they felt good. And I'll talk a little more about that right in what's happened the last 2 weeks. But I think from a celebratory standpoint, having over 4,000 kids in the district today, it's the first time this district's ever been over 4,000 students. That's pretty exciting to think we're in a position to have that students and to be able to open and the position where tonight I can say on day 3 things feel like we've been in school in 2.5 or 3 days. So I think as I just think about the days, Monday morning, Assistant Superintendent Kramer started at Milliken Middle School. I started at Roosevelt. Both of us had a chance with our start times to be at our secondary schools and watch those open. And we both met at Milliken Elementary to watch that one open and to celebrate with families there, and to see students learn to get in lines, and then walk in with their teachers that day and honor the parents as they trust us for students. It was pretty cool. From there, both of us went to Pioneer Ridge, where we obviously were there for the start, but got to spend time watching principals, our principal, assistant principal, and counselor go into class and reintroduce themselves. The message that I heard from Principal Zaya that day was really about how to welcome new people. And as a person to this community, recognizing, right, how most people have honored and welcomed new person. She was challenging our students at Pioneer Ridge to do the same thing, right, to make sure that all the new people, she was on their names in the moment, right, watching her do that, but also then provide a gentle challenge to all the other students to say, here's the new students to Pioneer Ridge, how do we welcome them during lunch and during recess? So that's really heartwarming to watch the way she was helping the new people who, if you've been there, been a new student in school, those are hard days, welcoming those individuals and helping them feel good. From there, we went to Elwell. We had a chance to meet and engage there, and most of our time was during lunch. Again, watching our district staff, in addition to Elwell staff, engage with the students in a positive way, helping them to figure out lunch and celebrate how they did lunch was cool for me. The first lunch I've got to see at Elwell. From there, we both went back down to Roosevelt to see how that building functioned during lunch and to get a sense of how that felt. And then at that point, I had a chance to go to Milliken Middle School. Sophia was in all 5 buildings that day. So was Assistant Superintendent Kramer. Day 2, we both started opposite. I started in the middle school over here at Milliken. She started at Roosevelt. And from there, I was able to go back to Milliken Elementary and see that open yesterday as well. Today, the only thing I think both did out in the buildings was we had a chance to go to the assembly at Roosevelt High School. So for the first time, we got to see, I think there are 2,008 students. No, 2,208
To
students.
say, man, you
Not
got some,
2,000.
you got some,
I'm trying to get
you got
straight.
some numbers to report.
1,208 students.
That sounds.
Were you guys in the gym or
They're in what's called the arena.
the arena?
And they work today on tradition, right? So today was a day about teaching the tradition, teaching the songs, teaching the chants that they will do, encouraging the freshmen to get on board with where sophomores, juniors, and seniors already were. And so we got to participate and watch that. And as I said before, for someone that loves that out school, I had goose today. It was so cool to see of that come together and do it in a way where they were jazzed and excited to be in there. The staff was excited to be in there. So it was just a great day, and so I'll culminate there by saying the first 3 days of students back in the district has been awesome.
All right. Any questions? All right. Thank you for that. Let's move on to reports and comments from board members.
President Wells, I just want to say I have been able to interact with some of the district's teachers throughout this very few days of school. And I just want to do a shout out to all of the staff because I'm just so proud of how everyone is excited and helpful. I had one particular teacher say, you know, I'm a new teacher. I went in the room. My room was not even close to being set up. And other jurors personally said, let me help you, and gave just effortlessly service to help another teacher set up their room. And we're not talking a few minutes, we're talking probably half a day of service. And it just made my heart so happy. I come from a teacher, my mother was a teacher. I know how much work goes in to set up a classroom for your students, and to see other teachers reach out to other teachers. I just felt like deserved such a shout out today from the board, because we see that, we see how hard they work, we see how dedicated they are to their jobs, how dedicated they are to allowing students to feel loved and welcomed on that first day. And it's very, very heartwarming. So that was my comment today, is just shout out to all of our staff and all of our teachers. I'm so proud of them.
All right, we'll go next. All right, so I've done a few things. The first one I went to was the RHS Open House Thursday. Holy mollies. There was a lot of community, which is fantastic. But I don't think anyone was expecting that. The staff that I watched there helping people through the hall was fantastic. I thought I was doing a great thing. I wanted to support staff, so I wore my Roosevelt shirt, and everybody kept asking me questions. And I was like, I'm just on the board. I don't know. I can tell you, like, generally where something, you're like, you don't know where the D wing is. Like, I don't even know that it's called D. I was not a very tour guide Barbie, but it was fantastic. There's so many staff room that I could be like, oh, I just saw someone over here or there who could help you. And it was exciting to see. It was I wanted to go for a couple of reasons. I wanted to see people's reactions, and it was a great mix of being overwhelmed with the space and what that like, and excitement and awe. But there's a lot of great comments of people walking around. The other thing I wanted to talk about was Beef and Day, which is Milliken's annual tradition. I mentioned a couple meetings ago about what the district was going to do as a presence of him being gay, and because historically the district has done something, and fantastic. We did the bus and a booth, which was fantastic. The bus was great, a lot of great fun. I think JJ put a lot of effort to that, and I appreciate him doing that. And it was fun to have kids on the bus, because seeing the bus in the parade, usually there's not kids on the bus, and so they were really excited about that as well. And then booth, I stopped by the booth at Milliken Beef and VA, and I liked the mix of information that was there for the kids, if you will, and there was some engaging activities for the kids. There were some web leaders who were sitting at the booth as well, and I thought that was great that I don't know if they were asked to sit at the booth, they were hanging out at the booth, and they felt like they could, and I thought that was great and fun. And then I went around Beef and Bean Day a lot. We got to talk to a lot of people in the community. There's new people who've moved in, people who've lived here for a while, kids who are super excited to go to school. I can't believe how many kids I talked to who were going into MES and were just excited to see what it was going to finally look like. And it was really exciting. So I appreciate everybody's work with Beef and Bean Day.
All right.
Well, I'm going to add to a lot of what you guys have already said, because that's what this is. But normally these reports are the meetings we've been in and the events we've been at, and I have had the opportunity to be gone for most of the last 3 weeks. I'm not going to do any of that. It's a great vacation, but when you're gone for that many weeks, they'll die a tribe, so that's what's going to happen right now. I want to share my excitement in Roosevelt, because it is awesome. It is an amazing building. It's going to provide a lot of opportunity, resources for the students that attend there. Every student in this district that attends that school. I think we've talked about it a lot for the last 2 or 3 years, but it's really hard. It has been really hard for the community to really understand what that building is going to be until they're able to see it over the last week or so. So it was really exciting there. I was able to participate and drop off and pick up 2 of the last 3 days. So we do have some learning to do around traffic around new building. But I will say the second time I did that was much better than the first time that I did that.
Nice.
So it's a lot, it will be a lot of change and a lot of learning for everybody that's involved, students, community. But I appreciate the staff's work in making that happen. It is an amazing facility, and that's all you can say about it. It's going to be awesome for our students. But like you said, Superintendent Nilsson, it is not the only brand new building in our district. Elwell is only a year old. And I know last year they felt like they were kind of rushed to get into the building and things didn't go as smoothly as it could have. So I hope this year there's some new leadership there. There's some opportunity. I hope this year they feel like things are a little more smooth at Elwell. And then Milliken Elementary, of course, is like a brand new building. I know there's some work to do on the front, the entry to that building. But I'm excited to get in there and see it. We talked about a tour of that building for us in the next couple of weeks, and I'm excited to get in and see it. Excited for the opportunities that
that school community is going to be able to experience in that building. Exactly the same opportunities they're going to have at Elwell and at Bay Ridge, because it is a brand new building. Our district has come a long way in the last 3 or 4 years, especially when it comes to facilities. And I'm very proud of this group, of the staff that have made that happen. It's been a long time done. We're not quite done. We've got one more big project that's coming up. Already started. I heard a little feedback about that the other day. But it is exciting to see how far we have come on facilities over the last years. But as you said, Monica, it is the buildings are great. The new facilities are wonderful. But what makes those buildings go, provides those resources and opportunities to our students is the staff. I want to piggyback on what you said and just say thank you. If you are a teacher, a paraprofessional, a custodian, a administrator, a volunteer in one of our buildings, thank you, because we couldn't do the new shiny things are amazing, but they wouldn't be what they are without the staff that sits inside those buildings and provides those resources and opportunities to our students. So to those that'll watch later, thank you. To those in the room, thank you. It's going to be amazing, and I wait to see where we go in the next year. And I didn't get to say officially, welcome, Superintendent Nielsen, because I was gone. So welcome. It's nice to have you.
I was also gone last week on meetings, so I missed a lot of the gearing up and getting ready. I've been just mostly trying to stay out of way these last few days, besides putting my kid on the bus. But that seems to be going fine, so there you go. Just one personal one. Last spring, when we were dealing with all the family stuff that we were dealing with, my daughter's assigned counselor at MS at Jenna Hall was just a real gift and a godsend to us, and continues to be. So I just want to raise her name up. She reached out to me at the beginning of this year, just letting me know that we had some new teachers that went to the building. Asked if it was okay if she talked to them a little, to let her know what was going on in case it comes up. And I really appreciated she did that. I appreciate she checked with me first, just to make sure. Of course, I said that would be great, just in case things come up. But just want to really raise that all. She's just been a gift in a lot of ways, but and she just continues to look after my daughter that does all the students under her care. But she's a great representation of what we try to do for our students here. And I know she does that for everybody. So it's not just me. So just really the staff over there have been great and continues to be such.
I don't have much to add. For the 5 in the community who didn't come to the open house last day, I thought it was a pretty unique way of introducing the building to the families. And Mr. Benson basically set up a mock day within about an hour and a half period, I think it was. He had the 5-minute passing period, but then you had 10 minutes to go to your class, figure out where the classroom was, meet your teacher, meet classmates you were going to have during that hour. And it was just really a fun way to let the students and families kind of explore the building on their own. There were a lot of people in that building. That, I've had a lot of people ask me tours, and you probably know this building inside because you've been on so many tours, but it's really been like the last week and a half has been really fun doing tours, because now that the building finished, and we don't have to explain, like, so what you'll see here when this is all done is, you just show them the room and they're like, oh, that is crazy. So on Saturday, I got to take, let me back up. Last Thursday, I got to take Randall Hess through the building before the staff got into it. And he was just blown away. Longtime educator in the school district, just blown away by the facility itself. We got out to the track, and of course, he was a track coach, cross country coach, and that twinkled his eyes pretty good seeing that track. Saturday, I got to take the class of '93 on a tour. They did their reunion in conjunction with Beef and Bean Day, and again, just so many wide eyes and just so excited about it. Not a negative word about anything. Just just really excited about the building this coming Saturday. Keep saying Friday. I'll be taking the class of 63. The building, they'll be doing their reunion. And so I'm excited to share that with them and hear what they say. So, but that's been the best part in the last week and a half is just, and I remember that with Elwell was, you know, we did lots of tours with Elwell. We saw the building, we knew the building inside and out, but then coming back like 3 months after school started and actually seeing kids use the space, that was huge. And I'm really super excited to get back 2 or 3 months down and see how Roosevelt is using the space and how elementary is using the space. I had some staff shoot me some photos. They are using the learning stairs, which is huge because you know, every time I see those things, I'm like, wasted space. No, it's not. We're using them, and that's awesome. So, anything else?
I'd say for my report, if we're ready for it, we're ready for it.
Yeah, let's go on to
All
yours.
right. You took the words out of my mouth, for me, right? To get to what we talked about for celebrations, it takes the staff. It also takes communities, right? Everyone has to come together and ready. We've fed kids for 3 days. We had some challenges, as late as last week. We had to work through and make sure we could feed students, walking this week. Staff rallied around that, making sure buildings are clean today. Obviously, when you're doing that, you got to make sure we're doing that in 2 new buildings, but we're doing that in all the buildings. So we've been able to feed and transport. And when I think about my last week, able to spend some time with the whole entire staff at Roosevelt last week, that was a fun time to everybody mingle and pictures in the main burritos and then come together as a family and welcome the new superintendent and let me talk a little bit about who I am, but also do a little push, right? So we had a couple, President Wales had a chance to speak and recognize, in some cases, the movement of the district over the last several years and celebrate some of how the communities have come together to help the movement of this district going forward. So that was a great morning for me, right? Kind of one of those things I've thought about for 4 months, right? Is getting together with everybody and being able to do that in the arena was pretty exciting. From there, I got to go celebrate with all the bus drivers. I got to meet each one of them and spend a little time with each one of them, but then also look at the facilities and let JJ and Reese take me around and show me what we have and ultimately what we need, right? You think about, you know, projecting into the future, what we need probably is some work with our transportation department as we continue to think about moving students around, which we'll always have to do in a district that's 4,000 plus students. We're always going to have to think about how we transport students. And so that was a great morning. The next day I got to spend some time with our Sodexo friends, who, yes, maybe with a different group, but they take care of us, right? Our bus drivers and our custodial services and food services, they fuel, make sure that systems are right. They're the first person that our students see in the morning and the person they see at night. Hugely important to making sure our students are ready to absorb what they get the rest of the day. So all of the stuff that make these first 3 days work have just all done a great job, have gone above and beyond. I also want to thank the board for the Beef and Bean Day push, making sure we were there. I think this board making sure that the district has a presence in events like that. But our conversation 30 minutes ago, right, where we're talking about and you helping the district to think about how do we stay engaged or engage at a higher level with both communities says a lot about this board. So I want to say thank you for that. I think that will continue to make us as a district better as we engage with both communities. So I just want to honor and thank for that. I think that takes care of my update, my report.
Okay. Any questions?
Just one quick question, and you may not have an answer yet because it's day 3, but I'm curious about enrollment numbers.
Yeah, you're reading
At
it.
each-
That's my question.
And
Always
specifically in
curious.
each building. I mean, you
Yeah.
mentioned the 1,200 in Roosevelt, which is a fairly significant increase over here at Roosevelt. So if we have to do it, maybe that's fine.
I would suggest, we have some idea, but I would suggest, and I see Mike over my shoulder right now thinking we're probably, right, ebbs and flows each day, almost ebbs and flows each hour with enrollment and people that didn't enroll and were still on our rolls. So give us a couple of days and
Sure.
I'll communicate that out through email.
That'd be great.
But what I can tell you is at last count district, our students in our 5 schools were up over 100 students. It's a district at this moment.
Okay.
We've got a little more than that, and we may end up lower than that. It's hard to say.
Yep.
Our charter schools, KQA looks like it's going to come in right where it was.
Yep.
Civica right now is sitting about 165, I think, as I saw. So those are the numbers on top of my head.
Okay.
But all of them are still in flux a little bit, so.
Yep. Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes.
Maybe a request actually for our next meeting is I'd be curious after a couple weeks in what our food service utilization looks like with the
That's
universal.
a great call, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, no, that's a great piggyback question with the food service. What is that application? The free and reduced
Yeah,
lunch
free and reduced lunch,
application.
yeah.
We had
Or
talked
that.
a lot about how to get that into families' hands and continuing to encourage them to complete the application with the Universal Food Service. Because application and filling that out is super important for
Yep.
district funding and district metrics. So I am curious how that's going to, and like how many people are filling versus not.
Yeah, that's a great, we love that. Either, yeah.
Yeah, next meeting.
Any other questions? All right, we move on to our consent agenda. Our adopted rules of parliamentary procedure provide for a consent agenda listing several items for approval of the board making a motion. Most of the items listed on the consent agenda have gone through board review and recommendation. Documentation concerning these items has been provided to all board members and the public in advance to assure an extensive and thorough review. Any item may be removed from the consent agenda at the request of any board member. Otherwise, entertain a motion.
Move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
A motion by Vice President Sasano, a second by Director Proctor to approve the consent agenda as presented. Any discussion? I will have to say I'm so brokenhearted to see Sam Schlager's resignation.
I'm glad you said it. 'Cause
I got a chance to see him at Beef and Bean Day, and I mean, Sam's get a great opportunity, and I think it was, while my heart's broken, I'm sure his is completely smashed. It was probably the most difficult decision he's probably had to make with his career, with regard to his career so far in his life. But what a beautiful heart for service and for the kids, and I think he will be. Oh, I know he will rest greatly in the district. He's still around, and so hopefully we can build some strong partnership in his new positions. Any other? Hearing none. Jessica, we board.
Monica Johnson,
Yes.
Amanda Proctor,
Yes.
Nate Sisano,
yes.
Jim Scott,
Yes.
Michael Wales.
Yes. We'll move on to our old business. We have a single item tonight on old business, and that is the naming of the stadium at the new RHS High School. That was kind of a RHS, Roosevelt High School. I do want to make, I want to make a point because I just out in the community. Because some people asked, well, why just not keep it the same? And what they're referring to is Peterson Field at Roosevelt Middle School. That field will remain Peterson Field. That will be a functional football field or stadium field for all sports. So we're going to keep Peterson Field's name in place. And so this will be to name the stadium at the new high school. And so we did put this out to the community. Do you have full stats, or I know Jessica did a pretty good job keeping stats. What we get for submissions
122 total suggestions,
Okay,
not unique.
now
but
you,
122 total.
and it's, yeah, it's kind of fun looking through them. I mean, some of these are, I've got some favorites that I didn't think of, like, that's a pretty good name. It has good,
Did you ever reach out to the Sauer family to see how they would feel about
yes.
things named and what their opinion would be, so that, because that's obviously one of the suggestions.
And we've had multiple conversations about that. And they have asked to play a lower key role in,
So they're not interested in any kind of name.
But there is a dedication on the plat building
yes.
Right.
that says the land donated by the Sauer family and at UGA School, all those kind of things. So they have been recognized in the building in a small way, which is what they want.
Okay. All right. I guess we can eliminate that from the list.
I mean, we don't have to, we can do it anyway.
Oh, yeah.
That's a cool band, that's good. Yeah, there was a lot of good ones. I mean, some we've seen for some of the other things we've been naming, and everything. I will own, I kind of came in with a favorite, I don't, it's changed, but there's some good ones.
So just to be clear, we are, I assume tonight, choosing a name for the STEM, but not for the field.
Right, so part of that conversation has always been sponsorships, and could we sell naming rights to it's crazy to me. Can we sell the naming rights to a high school football field in northern Colorado? Probably. So the thought is it could name the stadium, but the field itself could still we could still have sell sponsorship for that. So, and the example I've continually given is you have Mile High Stadium, and Mile High Stadium's the constant. Where whatever corporate entity wants to cough up the millions and millions of dollars, they can have, well, who is it now? Like, I don't even know who it is.
I think it's still in power.
Empower Field. So
Empower,
Power
Mile
Field
High
at
Stadium.
Mile High Stadium. So a similar thing. It could be Monica's Donut Factory Field at whatever name stadium.
And that's gonna be an easier thing to change too. 'Cause
Right.
I mean, permanent name, you want to be permanent, so you're gonna put it in nice figures and you're gonna.
Right. And that, and everybody who's is sitting in this room right now has gone through economic up and downs, and sometimes those sponsorships are tightened up, and I would hate for us to end up with a stadium that just doesn't have a name because our sponsor didn't renew their, so this way, at least we have the field can reside in.
Well, we go through it. I think there's like 3 or 4 ideas that are top that maybe we should verbalize.
Sure.
So the one was Sauer something, right? Sauer family, whatever, but they're not interested in that, so I think they can take that off the table. Rough Rider, write some version of that. But do we know it was Nectar Ducks? Those were like super popular.
I think the third one with the third most nominees was Hess or Randall Hess. And I think the fourth one, and as we looked at it, there were really 4 standouts to those 3, plus Bruce, John Bruce. So those were and John Bruce was 4th, I believe, after the third one was Hess or some form of Randall Hess.
So before we pick one, I just wanted to put a thought out there. If we pick one of the individuals to name the stadium after, there are individuals who are listed here and have a lot of community support based on, are going to want something. So we walked over to where the bricks are. There's the R, which I think will be cut out, and then there's the people that got the bricks. And I'm wondering if we don't turn that into some kind of memorial circle or something where if we choose, say, John Bruce and the Hess family wants to put something up for Randall Hess, can do whatever they want to do and have it sit there in that memorial circle. Or anybody else. There's Reed Doty was on the list a couple of times. So if folks have a desire to do that, we might create a space where they can do that in a place that's already kind of memorialized as that. So just something to think about. I don't know how that ends. It's just a thought that I had this morning.
I think it's a great idea.
But just something to think about.
Yeah,
If we choose one and other people want to do something, there might be a way to do it.
You know, I like the idea of, honoring somebody or something through this. The problem is then you only have to pick one. In any situation where it feels like that's a challenge, and I appreciate you naming that, Director Susano, because it is. But I think it's good. I will say that, I think anything named anything else, I've been hesitant to use a person just because, over time, people's opinions of people change. All that, we've seen that a lot in swimming and everything, since we've kind of shied away from it in the name of our buildings. We've stuck with either what we already have, or we stuck with place names and things like that. I think that was a wise thing. This one, I'm probably weirdly other side. So surprising no one. I mean, I think we mostly just because we are talking about a stadium. I mean, I think keep in that world, as far as who we're going to choose to honor makes sense, especially since track is such a big part of the stadium, and that's what we do there. I think for me, I'm bringing to a person, then, I think Randall Hess is the one. If we're not going to do a person, then I think you just stick with like Rough Rider Stadium or something like that.
I really liked Calvary Stadium. I thought was really a fun shout out to Teddy Roosevelt. Is his part in the U.S. Cavalry, and I see the wisdom in electing someone who played such a significant role in the community, but I feel like, in a lot of the same regard, is when there's so many wonderful name suggestions, how to narrow it down and how to choose someone. So I really love Nate's suggestion, having some sort of honorary place where we can name individuals. Tend to want to be more generic with the naming of a stadium, almost not to hurt people's feelings, thinking that they're not as significant. Their contribution wasn't as significant of someone else's. I worry about that with naming of a person. So it would probably tend to be more generic, so as to be offensive to anyone and their contribution.
I thought you're gonna say John did no wrong.
I should have.
And what am I missing there? Is that?
Yeah.
It's lost to me. I caught the Thunderdome. I thought Thunderdome was
I
good.
mean, right, like if only more than one person suggested it, it'd be up there, but. Yeah, so I don't know. I do like the idea of honoring people who've made significant contributions to any of those sports played in that stadium, whether it's soccer or track or football, and honoring the people. But I do like a more generic name because there are multiple sports that play on that field. And an interesting thought that's stuck with me is a conversation with Benson, I think he's here at the last meeting, I think it was, when he said that the staff's already been called like Rough Rider Stadium or Rider Stadium. And I was like, wow, like that has stuck with me. The staff has already picked that. It's very specific to the school and like that Teddy wall and writing the brand that we live in on the community. I think doesn't suggest one's forever the other, it's just a prideful place. I like the idea of a separate memorial. I would be open to Michael $5 so we could create that memorial for people.
The scowl is pretty
Or
impressive.
to people, we have 100 more kids. To creating that memorial for people who have, like, not just the people on this list, there's other coaches along the way who have made a contribution. I don't know. I like a more generic thing because I think sports are included. Whereas out there, if the bands out there in our competition, they're included. I like a version of Rider or Rough Rider Stadium personally. And it was one of the top choices. Would help solidify.
Am I the only one who hasn't pontificated? I mean, I do like John Brown did no wrong. Is that like a song lyric or something?
Yeah, it is.
I thought it was a
You might
poem.
be.
I thought it was a poem,
Was
wasn't it?
I think it's,
All right.
I missed it. Yeah, at least people know we read it. And
It's true that I'm a fan of naming this stadium after Randall Hess. I mean, as a former student, athlete, and a friend, one friend of Randall. I mean, what's written here sums it up on a lot of the submissions. I mean, he didn't just spend a lot of his career here, he spent his entire career, including his student teaching. Started at Johnstown High School, finished at Roosevelt. One of the cool things about Randall that I like is when you talk to other people in the community, regardless of age, they've had some connection with him through the school. Either, my dad had him, I had him, or my son has him and I had him. My grandson had him and I had him. Multiple generations get spanned through the touch that he had. And I can say, as I said, as a student and an athlete of Randall's, student athlete was an important thing for him. I'm not saying that to indicate that other educators or coaches aren't that way, but that was hammered home. And one of the athletes was that your academics come first. And I think you ask anybody who had him, he was a teacher first and a coach second. And sometimes those roles are interchangeable. As Superintendent Nielsen mentions address to the all staff last week. We talk about paying the sponsorships. I think a life well lived in this district supporting our students. I think Randall has paid for that. I think from a sponsorship standpoint, I don't know that dollars could do more than what he's done in the school district, and I think it would be a fitting tribute to a well man to this district.
one of the things, anytime you name something after somebody, down the road, it will be a question of like, well, who was that person? And that's why I always have a hesitancy about it. It's like, what are they going to find? I don't know that you're going to anybody that, isn't just glowing. About Randall. As I've gotten to know just people in this community over the last few years, having a lot of educators or former educators, church, and just in the community in general, it's weird for me because normally I wouldn't want to do this to advocate of being a person, but this is probably the exception of the rule for me, in that I just think of a reason not to, and if you do, in future students and educators get curious about, who was it was Pearson, I have no idea, but I am hoping somebody great. And I hope in 20 years when they say who's Randall has, they find out and they're like, oh, spring guy. And what he stood for matters, and hopefully still what we stand for. So I would lean that. I'll just say.
Well, I'm willing to get the ball rolling and make a motion. Of course, we'll have to vote, we vote on the motion, so I would move that we name the new high school stadium Randall Hess Stadium in honor of Randall Hess.
Second.
I have a motion by myself, a second by Reverend Scott. Discussion.
I have not had the opportunity to meet Mr. Randall, but I've heard an awful lot about him. And I think Reverend Scott said it so eloquently that I really trust the judgment of the community. Looking at all of the suggestions from the community, that was one of, just from logistics, was one of the top suggestions along with Ryder Field. So those would probably be my two. If the community feels strongly with that, I would love to support his contribution to the community in that way. But I also really like Ryder Stadium too. But I didn't have the privilege of being a student under his tutelage, so going off the community, definitely for that one.
Any other discussion?
I just hope that whatever name we have, all the kids who go on that field, because that is one of the reasons I really like Rec inclusive of the school. And I know he was a teacher who taught St. Matters, but I don't want the color guard to not feel connected on that field practicing. You know, just like I want the track to be very proud of that when they're at Randall Hess Stadium or at the Randall Invitational or whatever. That's my biggest concern with having a name associated sport. It's like inclusivity of everybody feeling like the part of that school, part of that stadium.
Any other discussion? Hearing none, Jessica, please call the board.
Monica Smith,
Yes.
Amanda Proctor,
No.
Nate Sasana,
Yes, with comment. I'll do that after.
Scott,
Yes.
Michael.
Yes.
Can I make my comment now?
Yes.
I really do want us to work on that memorial, because I think there's other families that are represented in this list that probably want to have something at the school, or maybe even at others, but I think we need to come up with a policy, a procedure, a way for those folks to be able to do that, and that might be a great place around the R that's and all that stuff. This won't be the first time asked to name something after a person, and if we can point to a place to do that, I think that makes this a lot easier.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, and especially at that, that school is 4 times bigger than the previous one, so there are plenty of opportunity to honor people. All right, we'll move on to special business. We have an IGA with Lamar County for the 2023 court election.
That is, President Wales and others, it's just the agreements with both the counties that we will fill our duties as we go through the election. And we're looking for you to take action, let us do it.
This is all the boilerplate stuff we get from them, same when we used to go and all that. Well, I will go ahead and approve the intergovernmental agreement with Larimer County to coordinate the 2020 election.
I'll second.
Motion by Reverend Scott and by Director Proctor to. It's not letting our internet go down. Now it came up. We approve intergovernmental agreement with Larimer County and Weld County to coordinate the 2023 general election. Discussion.
This is more work.
She's already got it, I guess.
This is actually because they did the ballots and the counting.
Jessica, would you please pull forward?
Monica Johnson,
Yes.
Amanda Proctor,
Yes.
Nate Fasano,
Yes.
Jeremy,
Yes.
Michael Witt.
Yes. We have no business. We do have two members of the public who wish to speak on general topics. Ask you to come up to the podium and would just state your name and address when you do the record, and we'll start with Nicole Abraham.
Hello, Nicole Abramson, I'm in 10 Chester Court, Johnstown. First, I'd like to thank the board for all that you've done for our community. I have worked for district for 20 years. I'm on my 24th year, but tonight I'm addressing the board as a parent, as a community member. I've had the opportunity to raise children in Johnstown, and many community members, including staff, have helped upbringing. I'm here today because I'm concerned with the consequences of our just changing who we're contracting with for custodial services. It's my understanding that custodial staff at Roosevelt were promised jobs by the new company. I understand that the board cannot rule another company's hiring processes, but I ask that we consider how this impacts our community, specifically in the termination of Lucy Cardona. Lucy Cardona has worked in our district schools for 20 years as a custodian. You might think that her only responsibility is to keep our buildings clean. Boy, does she keep our building clean. I trusted that my daughter was safe at Roosevelt during the recent pandemic. As head custodian, Lucy also monitored the cafeteria at the elementary level and worked at after-school care program. She's a trusted adult for many parents and students. She knows our kids, and to quote a senior, when we spoke as a family about Lucy, she said, she watched us grow up. Lucy was also considered by our current senior class to deliver the writer address at graduation. I think that's telling about what she means to the students at Roosevelt. I have a senior and a friend now at Roosevelt. I know that Lucy has been there for my daughter, and I hoped that she could help keep my freshman in line, because I know she could do it. My fear is that by contracting out our custodial services, we have removed an adult who is a safe place for many students in our district. And I hope that we can together to find a way to retain Lucy serves at the high school as a custodian, because she is responsible for keeping our building physically safe, but also help our children with their mental safety as well, by being there and being a solid throughout their education. So I hope that we can be creative as a district to consider the impact on our community and the impact on this community member that devoted much of her life to serve our schools. And it's not just because she loves cleaning, it's because she loves the community, especially her kids. Thank you for your time. And thanks again for you do.
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Jennifer Simmons.
Jennifer Ward, 601 D Road, Johnstown, Colorado. Hello, President Wales, members of the Board, Superintendent Nielsen. I'm actually here to support reevaluating the employment of Rachel's custodian Cardona. Actually, I have known Lucy since 21 years old. In fact, at that time, she was working at an elementary school and the after-school program. At that point, too, she was a dedicated part of the Larry 5J school district. In fact, when I told her I was being as a student teacher at Roosevelt High School, she said that I was going to be and love with this community and being a part of a family. Boy, was she right. I need to add that Lucy is a member of the Weld RFJ family. I would like to propose that the board help support RHS in bringing her back. Her style of leadership is truly inspiring. She doesn't delegate, she communicates. She doesn't wait to be told that she sees what's needed. She doesn't clock in and out. She waits to ensure the school, the teachers, and the students are well taken care of. Overall, I stand before you to defend Lucy, who has dedicated countless hours of hard work to our school district. And it's crucial to consider not only the task she performed, but also the broader impact that she's had on our school community. Furthermore, her commitment extends beyond the scope of her job description. She's willing to take on additional responsibilities during things like special events, demonstrating her willingness to support the school in any that she can. She actually often helps identify students who are in need of extra support, students who were not eating, and communicated with our team, but high-risk students. This display of the level of dedication is invaluable, really should not be overlooked. In light of these factors, I implore you to reconsider the decision of employment, recognizing her hard work and meaningful impact that she's had on our school district, and not just a matter of fairness, and a decision that aligns with our commitment to foster nurturing and thriving education environment. I love Lucy, and so do the Rough Riders at Roosevelt High School, so I thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you.
Are there any other items deemed necessary by the board? Stick around, we need to take a photograph of this board. Feel like my clock's wrong. It is 7:59 and we will adjourn.
Thank you.
Thank you guys.